start our lesson. But before we start, who didn't submit his quiz? No one?
الصراحة أنا مستر.
Honestly talking, me. Okay. Okay, what's your name, my friend?
حساف.
Hassan. Why you didn't take it, Hassan?
حساف.
Asaf. Why you didn't take it?
Sir, I have an exam after 2 days, and I forgot. I opened the
Mister, there's someone in the
Sarah,
lobby.
clock, and it was finished the time deadline.
Okay, Asaf. Friday at 10 p.m. You will have your retake.
إن شاء الله.
طب مستر معلش، كان في برضو assignment social، بس مش كويز بقى. انا عملت الكويز عادي، بس الاساينمنت كان ورايا ترايل وكده، فما شفتهاش، نسيت يعني، كنت بذاكر بس. فالاساينمنت دي يعني ببص لقيتها
خلاص, I'll try to fix it. I will try to fix it.
مستر
Okay.
في حد في اللوبي.
خلاص, I admitted him.
يا
No one, yes, no one is still waiting. Scientific revolution, guys. This will be our topic, the scientific revolution. Keep in your mind that after they discovered the new land over there, they noticed that they found new plants, new animals, new people, even a new places, new land. It was not mentioned in their books. Nobody said that you can find a lot of people if you cross the ocean, for example. Even crossing the ocean by itself, it was dangerous for them. So they knew that the Arab world have made some kind of advancement in technology and went over there also to the far east to like the compass and the astros. Talking about knowledge, if they they had only two sources for knowledge. Nowadays, if you wanna find the answer of any piece of information, easily you can Google it. It's a piece of a cake. While sitting in your chair, you can simply Google your piece of information and you're gonna find the answer. But back at that time, it was hard. They had only two sources for knowledge. They had the church or the ancient scholars' writings. By the ancient scholars' writings, I mean Aristotle, Ptolemy, Democritus. All of these are ancient scholars' writings, okay? So they either came from Greece or from Rome. One of the examples, ancient theories, the geocentric one. Aristotle proposed that the Earth was the center of the universe. He said that the Earth was the center of the universe. At that time, an idea about 5 planets. Okay, so the Earth is the center of the universe, and the other planets are simply revolving around the Earth. And also the Church strengthened this idea that God, after creating Earth, has honored Earth, so he made it the center of the universe, and the other planets are simply revolving around the Earth. And they used to teach their all of these theory. Do you see the time? From 300, we can say, from 300 BC, they are teaching the children this knowledge. Until what? Until the 16th century. These were their writings, okay? Their theories, their knowledge. Also, they had an idea about the elements, different elements in the world. Democritus said, Democritus was the first one, also BC, was the first one to mention something about atoms, particles. All the elements consist of invisible atoms. And Aristotle said that all the elements in the world will come from the four primary elements: fire, water, dirt, and air. Regardless of these theories, these were only examples of their way of thinking. And they use it for how long? For almost 15 centuries. They were using this way of thinking, the traditional way. They accept it as a fact until the time comes they discovered the new land. So they said, hey, why it's not mentioned in our books? Why the church didn't tell us that after this ocean we're gonna find a new land? We're gonna find new plants over there. We're gonna find new animals. Why it's not mentioned in our books? Maybe you are using the wrong way of thinking. So there is a need to invent a new way of thinking because we are using the wrong one. So in the 16th century came two philosophers, Francis Bacon and René Descartes. These guys said, in order to invent or to create a new way of thinking, we must use reason. Yes. And they started to use their reason. They started to use their minds in order to develop a new way of thinking. And here is an important point. Everything we know is wrong until proven right. And there is a famous quote regarding René Descartes. I doubt everything. I doubt even my own body. Everything in the world we know as a fact is the subject of our study. Everything we know for centuries is wrong until we prove that this is right. And they started a new era, a new period in history. They call it the scientific revolution. They started to suspect all the theories. So do you think after using this way of thinking based on reason, they will get or they will achieve some discoveries or not? What do you think, guys? Please do not let me talk to myself a lot. I'll be mad by the end of the year.
Yes, mister, it would lead to a lot of discoveries.
only 1 week left يعني in online school.
Yes, you'll be mad. Sorry.
Mister, there's only 1 week left يعني no need.
1 week left for what? For the end of the year?
No end of online.
1 week left, and hopefully after 2 weeks, and we will go back to school. But who knows? After 2 weeks, we're gonna hear the news. Okay, so guys, until the 16th century, if they have any questions, if they wanna seek knowledge about life or nature or any item, any title, any subject, if they wanna find the answer of any question, they will use the traditional way of thinking, the traditional method. What do I mean by the traditional method? Two options, either the church or the ancient scholars' writings. By the ancient scholars, I mean ancient philosophers coming from Rome or Greece. Okay, like Aristotle, Plato, and so on. So the traditional way of thinking, ancient scholars' writings, or the teachings of the church. The famous example for the geocentric theory, guys, was the Earth was the center of the universe. What do I mean by church, guys? The church would simply teach the people something about knowledge. Schools back at that time were not popular. You cannot find schools at any place. Okay? So the parents used to send their kids to the church to be taught over there about different subjects. And of course, the church took the ancient scholars' writings in their syllabus. So it was authorized. And some kind of enforcement. So geo means earth. Keep it in your mind in order not to misplace both of them, the geocentric and the heliocentric. Geo means earth. The earth was the center of the universe, and all the planets we know are revolving around the earth. By the way, guys, how many planets we have in our solar system? Do you have any idea?
8.
How
15.
many? Oh my God.
Don't
15?
don't count the dwarf planets.
You are generous. You
Yeah,
are
Mr.
generous. I'm talking about planets.
Yeah, because the sun is a planet, the moon is a planet, and
What?
there are every planet has other moons, which are other
Yusuf,
planets.
No.
Yusuf, Yusuf, my dear friend, the sun star. The sun is not a planet. Do not say it again. Sun is a star, not a planet. Earth is a. Keep it in your mind. The sun is not a planet. The sun is a star. Back to our question, guys. How many planets do we have in our solar system?
9.
8.
Nine?
Don't count Pluto.
8.
8?
If we don't
Any
count
other
Pluto.
options? If
14,
you,
Mr. Because
you are generous. You are generous, Yusuf. 14. Okay, guys, have a look here, please. Okay. Here is our solar system. Okay. The sun, which is a star, Yusuf, we will not count the sun. ماشي? 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. Until 1930, we had 8 planets in our solar system. Then they discovered planet X. They name it Pluto. Okay. And we used to count Pluto as a planet until 2006. So before 2006, they were 9 planets. ماشي? What happened to 2006? The International Astronomical Union downgraded the status of Pluto to be a dwarf planet. Why do you think they downgraded his status? Because they said,
it's small.
because it's
Small.
small.
Yes.
It's not related to size, by the way. They said, the International Astronomical Union, they said that in order to use the term planet, you have 3 conditions, 3 rules. Okay, fulfill these rules, you will earn the title planet. What are these rules? Number 1, to have a mass, the size, regardless of the size, big or small. Okay, to have a mass. Number 2, to have some moons around him. So this means, why do you think to have some moons around the planet So this is a proof that this planet, this mass, has a gravity. So number one, to have a mass. Number two, to have moons around him. And number three, nothing in his orbit. What do we mean? What do I mean by nothing in the neighborhood? For example, have a look here at Jupiter. This is the orbit of Jupiter, guys, okay? Let's suppose that there is something here in the way. Any item here in the way. Okay? And this item is not moving. If this happened, so Jupiter is not a planet. Because this is not a clear or a clean neighborhood. This is one of the conditions. Pluto have reached or achieved two conditions, not the third, because there is something in his orbit. Okay? Some elements in his orbit that he used to hit or to avoid, or because of the gravity, this is another issue. But in his orbit, the orbit of Pluto is not clear. So the Astronomical Union downgraded the status of Pluto to be a dwarf one. He's not a planet. So we went back to the number 8 again until 2016. Only 4 years ago, they discovered planet 9. And until now, they are still using the name Planet 9. They have no idea what they're gonna call it or to test it. They have no idea. It was only a photo through a telescope. What's over there? What's the size? So what about his moons? We have no idea. Sorry, who was talking?
أحمد طه. يعني هما 9.
Yes. Now, yes, they are 9. But keep in your mind that Pluto is not counted.
Mister, the ninth
Yes.
planet is hypothetical.
Hypothetical? No, they
Yes.
proved it. They have some photos about it.
I checked. There's no photos.
But
There's
keep
only
in your
renders.
mind,
All the photos يا مستر is photoshopped.
not
Yeah, they're
all
all
of them.
renders.
Even the Earth يا مستر.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. They were theoretical talking or even Photoshop before inventing the Hubble telescope. Okay. All the photos published online, of course, they are not. They simply were captured by using giant telescopes. The first photos, the first photo to be published was captured by Hubble. It was a gigantic telescope. Try to imagine that by the year 1985, the accuracy of this telescope was 2 billion megapixels. Try to think about your mobile phone. What's the accuracy of the camera? 5 megapixel, 6 megapixel, 15 megapixels, and so on. But back to the 80s, you are talking about 2 million. Maybe, by the way, all of this discussion will prove only one thing. Do you know what is it? Do you know what's the conclusion of our discussion talking about the solar system?
مستر how يا مستر a telescope have megapixels more than the human. Human
More than a
doesn't-
human eye?
Yes.
So, how do you think a computer can store more data than the human mind?
تمام يا مستر بس يعني
We are talking
this
about
is different
invention.
يا مستر. We cannot see يعني the telescope can see but we cannot see.
By the way, back at that time, if we go back to the 16th century, there was no pollution. and even were not available. They used. Do you know that by using their own eyesight, they can see the planets in the sky, in clear skies? They can see. They can see different planets. Nowadays, if they wanna see the beginning of the Arabic calendar or the Arabic month, they will go to the desert. They can simply go here in Riyadh, for example. They want to go to the top of the tallest size skyscraper, for example, of the tallest building. They can go to the top of the Kingdom Tower. With an advanced telescope, they can see the moon in the sky. Right or wrong, theoretically talking, they can go to the top or to the highest level in the city in order to have a clear vision, theoretically talking. But this is wrong. This is the wrong way of observation. They said, according to astronomy, according to science, they said, in order to have a clear vision of the stars and of the sky, you must go outside of the city. If you notice, if you have seen this scenario before, they will go to the desert in the middle of nowhere, okay? And they will start to put their telescopes to see the good side of the beginning of the moon. Why this? Because simply they said the city lights will affect your vision regardless of the tool you're gonna use. The city light will affect the scene. What I need to tell you, my friends, all of this discussion will prove only one thing. Do you know what is it? Until now, until our modern age, here, with all of the advancements we reached in science, what we know about outer space? Simply nothing. What do you know about our space? Nothing. They said that in order to reach the edge of our galaxy, the Milky Way, we need 50 million light years to reach the edge of it. And there are millions of galaxies over there in the world, in the universe. What we know about them? Simply nothing. A black hole, what do you know about it? White hole, what is it? What we know about it? Nothing. Until now, all of these items are mystery to us. Try to imagine that over there in the 16th century, what do they know about the universe? With no tools, with only their minds, they had figured that the Earth was the center of the universe. Okay? Then came another one. He said, no, this theory is wrong. The sun is at the center of the universe. Look about this guy, Copernicus. He said that the geocentric is the sun is at the center of the universe. And he concluded this theory. How do you think he reached his achievement? By using his own eyesight, by using primary telescopes. In clear nights, at clear nights, he can simply have a vision at the sky to see the different planets. And he calculated their position. Today, Mercury in this place. Tomorrow, Mercury will be moved by 5 degrees, and so on. He kept on recording the positions for too many years. I can tell you that this guy, Copernicus, sorry, he wasted his life to reach this conclusion, to reach this theory, regardless of space, regardless of they were Until now, guys, there are 9 planets, okay? The geocentric theory, back to our title. The geocentric theory, the Earth is in the center of the universe. The other planets are revolving around it. Nowadays, we have the heliocentric theory. The heliocentric means that the sun is in the center of the universe, and the other planets are revolving around it. By the way, the sun is at the center of our solar system. Of course, as you know, we have too many stars in our galaxy. And of course, for every star, some planets revolving around it. All the stars with the planets will form a galaxy. And we have too many galaxies in our world, in our universe, regardless of this issue. Guys, be with me, please. The scientific way of thinking. Do you remember the scientific way of thinking? The one that we mentioned earlier before talking about the universe? Or not? Or you are still thinking about the universe? Guys, the scientific way of thinking.
I don't
Please stop thinking about the universe.
Reasoning.
Reason. Yes, exactly. To use reason. They said, Francis Bacon and René Descartes, they said that everything we know is wrong until proven right. Okay? So, and there is a famous quote for René Descartes, I doubt everything. I doubt even my own body. So they started to develop the scientific way of thinking based on reason. Okay? The scientific way of thinking consists of 5 steps. And of course, you know these 5 steps from your science textbooks at the back cover of it. The first step, to identify a problem. What's your problem? What's your subject you want to study? The second step is to form a hypothesis, a possible solution for this problem. Try to experiment it. Perform experiments. Record the results. Analyze them to form a conclusion or to get a conclusion. If your conclusion is wrong, go to step number 2. Form another hypothesis. Try to think about another possible solution for this problem. Start the experiments, and so on. So they said, everything we know is wrong until proven right. And they started the scientific revolution. They started to use the scientific way of thinking. And I think we have only 2 minutes left in our lesson. And let's continue our discussion. And we're gonna talk about a lot of achievements, okay? Do you remember the geocentric and the heliocentric? The geocentric was invented by Aristotle. The heliocentric was adopted by Copernicus. Guys, dear listeners, it's at the end of the day. It's the end of the day, right? And I think you are tired. Do you have another session? Do you have the 8th one?
No.
Sounds good.
No.
Lucky you. Okay, guys, no problem. And